My mom spent thousands of my money on my entitled sister's wedding, so I froze the account and ruined the whole thing. So, I'm in a bit of a pickle right now, not exactly a problem but more of a dilemma. My mom and sister have been leaning on me for support for years, and now it feels like they've totally crossed the line when it comes to taking advantage of me. Part of me just wants to cut them off completely, but then they'd probably end up struggling financially, and that feels pretty harsh. Still, I'm fed up with always giving in to their demands. Here's the scoop: I'm a 38-year-old woman, married with 2 kids, and living in Ohio for the last 6 years after tying the knot. Originally, I'm from Houston, and my childhood was kind of a mess because my parents divorced when I was just 10. My dad accused my mom of cheating, and to this day, nobody really knows if it was true since my mom never remarried. I was 10, and my sister was 5 when all this went down. Rumor has it my dad thought my sister wasn't actually his kid, which led to the divorce. He let my mom keep the house as part of alimony and left. Dad did pay for my schooling, but not my sister's, and for some reason, my mom didn't push for child support for her. I think that's why a lot of folks believed my sister wasn't his kid. My dad wasn't around much when I was young, but he'd drop by my school to pay fees and bring me gifts. When I hit high school, I reached out to him more, and we got close. He even came to my wedding, despite my mom being super against it. Over the years, I got closer to him than I did with my mom. He visited me in Ohio a couple of times, but then he got really sick, and we lost him last year. My mom wasn't thrilled about how close Dad and I were, and things got colder between us when he named me as his heir. He remarried after the divorce but didn't have kids with his second wife, so he always said I was his only daughter. Naturally, my mom and sister weren't thrilled about this, especially since I inherited a $400,000 trust fund from him. It wasn't just about the inheritance, though. From the start, Dad paid for my schooling, so I had access to better education and opportunities compared to my sister. My mom used some of the child support for other stuff, but since I was pretty aware as a kid, she made sure to keep me happy so I wouldn't raise any complaints. Fast forward to now, and my problem is with that $400,000 from Dad. Ever since my mom and sister learned about it, they've been on my case about lending them money for this and that. It's not the first time they've turned to me for help. I've been supporting them since I started working. As my salary grew, so did their needs. I don't owe them anything, but I feel like I should help because they're family. They don't earn nearly as much as I do. My mom's a cashier at a supermarket, and my sister works sales in a boutique. Together, they make less than half of my income, so I feel kind of obligated. They're not mean or anything, but we aren't super close emotionally. Anyway, a couple of months ago, my mom called and mentioned the house is falling apart: walls, ceilings, floors, you name it. Since Dad left, it hasn't been painted or fixed up, and the place is in bad shape, especially during storms. Mom said she went to the bank for a loan, but the interest is too steep. I knew what she was getting at. She wants me to chip in for the house repairs. So, let me tell you about this awkward chat I had. I kind of knew what she was after, but neither of us came right out and said it. After that convo, I started dodging her calls. I mean, she doesn't ring me up much, maybe once a month, but last month, she called like 3 or 4 times. When I finally picked up, she came straight out and said her house was barely holding up in bad weather and asked for the money she'd repay me in bits. So, I asked how much, and she threw out $100,000. I nearly lost it. There's no way I could lend that much. Then she hinted at the inheritance money, and I got super annoyed but kept my cool. I told her $50,000 was my limit, and she agreed. Later, I realized I jumped the gun offering $50,000, but there I was, committed. I wasn't thrilled about lending such a big chunk of money. My husband suggested breaking the money into installments and keeping tabs on the house repairs. I told Mom I'd send the $50,000 in pieces. I reactivated this old Houston account of mine, tossed in $10,000, and gave Mom access. She wondered why I didn't pop the money straight into her account, so I gave a lame excuse, totally my husband's idea. We'll see if this plan works out. Fingers crossed she pays it back, though I'm not holding my breath. Update 1. I'm starting to see my mom and sis might be pulling a fast one for cash. It's been 2 months since I started sending Mom money, supposedly for house renovations. So far, I've sent $20,000, and that's it. I'm not shelling out another dime. I had a hunch they were being nice just for my cash but didn't think they'd stoop to lying like this. If they'd been honest from the get-go, it wouldn't sting so bad. Recently, I found out through a school friend that my sister's getting hitched, and not a peep from my family about it. My friend's husband is her wedding planner, so that's how I got the scoop. Turns out, this grand wedding of hers is a $50,000 affair, with a guest list of about 100 people, not exactly the intimate gathering I assumed. It hurt finding out from others. But more than the exclusion, I wondered where the cash for this blowout came from, with lavish venues, endless food, and fancy decorations. I checked the account where I'd been sending Mom the renovation funds. Empty. I called her to ask about the renovations, and she claimed a company was hired, but work hadn't started yet. Her fibs were too much, but I still wasn't sure if they were really using my money for the wedding. I debated flying to Houston to see for myself but decided against it. Instead, I called my aunt, my dad's sister, who lives nearby. I asked about the wedding, and she knew but wasn't invited either. Mom's not fond of Dad's side, so that figures. Aunt said the wedding was all anyone in the neighborhood could talk about. It's crazy, just a few years back, their place was falling apart, and they were struggling. Now there's a shiny new house and a huge wedding. It was dizzying. Mom had told me the house still needed repairs, but Aunt said it had a fresh new look. Then I remembered when Mom hit me up for $20,000 for a supposed knee transplant months ago. I called her, pretending a friend needed an ortho referral, to get the details. So, I was trying to get some info about my dad's knee surgery from my mom, but she kept stumbling over her words and couldn't remember the hospital's name. I asked her where it was happening, but she couldn't give me anything concrete. It was like she was totally caught off guard. Then, suddenly, she pretended her phone was having network issues and hung up on me. When I tried calling her again, her phone was off for a bit, and after that, she just didn't pick up. I even shot her a text, but it sat there unread for days. That's when it hit me, she was lying. The money I had given her for my dad's surgery apparently went into fixing up the house and funding my sister's over-the-top wedding. Someone told me that my sister's engagement party was at my house, all decked out with lilies and plenty of wine. I felt like I was in the dark ages, totally clueless about the lavish life they were living while pretending to be broke in front of me just to milk money out of me. So, I decided enough was enough and ghosted them. I stopped putting money into that account. When my mom called, I ignored it. Same with her texts. Even my sister, who hasn't called me in ages, tried reaching out, but I wasn't having it. I just couldn't deal with their lies and manipulation anymore. Sure, I might earn more and have an inheritance from my dad, but that doesn't mean they can just bleed me dry with their tricks. I even promised myself I'd mess up my sister's big wedding day. Then, here's the twist, my mom called my husband. Can you believe it? I had already warned him not to get involved, but he went ahead and answered her call anyway. She started bawling, saying I had ghosted them and that they desperately needed money to finish renovating the house. And then, bam! My husband let out the truth. Ugh. I wanted to smack him. He told her that I knew about their money games for my sister's wedding and how they lied about the knee transplant. Because of him, my mom blew up my phone with apologies, claiming it was all a misunderstanding and that she was just repaying a loan with my cash. Seriously? After dodging her calls, I finally said I'd talk if she promised to be honest. She agreed, and then spilled everything. Turned out, my sister wanted this huge wedding but didn't have the funds, so they decided to trick me into paying by claiming it was for the house. They figured I wouldn't know the house was already renovated since I hadn't been back to Houston for years. I asked why they didn't just straight up ask for wedding funds. Mom said my sister didn't want to feel like she was taking a favor from me. Can you imagine? When I called her out for using the knee surgery money for the house, she got all quiet. She admitted they panicked when her in-laws decided to visit and the house needed urgent repairs. They couldn't think of a better excuse to get money from me, so they made up this urgent surgery story. I transferred the money almost immediately without questioning her. Even though I held it together during the call, inside, I was heartbroken. I just couldn't believe my own mom would trick me like that. Sure, they've got money issues, but that doesn't give them the right to manipulate me. After hearing all of it, I hung up and cried for hours. Honestly, I hadn't cried that hard since my dad passed. I missed him so much that day because he was the only one who truly cared for me. A couple of days later, I got a voicemail from Mom saying, "Okay, so here's the deal. I found out that my mom and sister just want money for my sister's wedding, and honestly, it ticks me off. I mean, if she wasn't my mom, I would have seriously flipped out on her for being so self-absorbed. She didn't even feel bad about it, just wanted cash. They didn't even invite me to the wedding, not even as a formality, and when the truth hit me, I just snapped. I blocked both her and my sister, and I told my husband not to take their calls. If he did, he'd be sleeping outside. I was dead serious about that. I've been talking with my aunt, and she mentioned the wedding is next month. I kept the money details to myself, but I know my mom and sister are having a tough time making their dream wedding happen. Oh well, that's on them. Update 3, I kept getting calls and messages from them, begging for money right up to the wedding day, but I stayed strong and didn't give in. On the wedding day, Mom's last voicemail said she was ashamed of me, disowning me, and I should never call or visit again. That just broke me. I cried to my husband because it hurt a lot. Maybe people think I ruined my sister's wedding and I'm just being stubborn, but my mom didn't care about her lies. I helped them before because I felt like I had to, like family should. But to them, I was just their ATM. Anyway, my friend's husband was the wedding planner, and she called to say the wedding might get cancelled because they hadn't paid the rest of the expenses. They put down $20,000, which I thought should have been enough for a nice wedding, but my sister went all out with top-tier decor and food. The venue alone cost $20,000. My friend asked if I was going, and I said no, I had other plans. She knew I wasn't close to my mom or sister. Inside, I felt guilty like I ruined my sister's wedding. I almost sent the money to my friend to keep it going, but then I remembered my mom disowned me, so why bother? I turned off my phone and took my kids out to stay distracted. The next day, my friend called again, saying her husband was mad because the wedding hurt his reputation. My mom and sister begged him to arrange something basic, promising another $10,000. They managed some decent food and decor, but people still complained, and my sister blamed the planner for everything. My friend said her husband could have told everyone the truth, but mom pleaded with him to stay quiet. He took the fall for it, and they still haven't paid him the extra $10,000. I felt embarrassed for my family but also annoyed they blamed the planner. My friend wasn't mad at me, just venting. My husband said they got what they deserved and that I shouldn't stress over them. They tried to impress everyone with what they didn't have, and now I'm glad my mom's disowning me has freed me from dealing with their nonsense. Now, moving on to the next story, my husband finally confessed, while drunk, that he's in love with my sister, after having suspected it for years. So, I'm not sure if I should take what he said seriously or chalk it up to just being drunk. Last night, we had dinner with my sister and her husband, and let's just say, we all had a bit too much to drink. After they left, my husband and I were still awake, so we had sex and kept the wine flowing with some music in the background. It was a fantastic night, and my husband seemed happy and all smiles, which is typical for him when he's had a few drinks. We started chatting about my sister and her husband, and out of nowhere, he blurts out, "I'm so in love with sister's name." I was like, wait, what? And he goes on about how he's desperately in love with her and would do anything to kiss her and how amazing she is. He seemed lost in thought, grinning away. I asked him how drunk he was, to which he admitted he was pretty out of it. I was feeling the effects, too, but his words hit me hard. I just sat there in shock as he seemed to drift off into his own dream world. This morning, I'm hungover and sober, and everything is hitting me even harder. I can't shake off what he said, it's heartbreaking. He's acting like nothing even happened, but I don't know if I should just ignore his drunken comments. Was it just the wine talking? Or does he actually have feelings for her? Do I wait for him to bring it up or just let it go? Even the sex was different last night, though it was great, it felt more passionate and tender, and he kept telling me he loves me and that I'm amazing. My sister, who's always been pretty modest, has been working out and looking fantastic lately, and last night, she looked stunning in this red dress. I don't know why I even mentioned this, but I feel it might be relevant. I'm really torn between believing that drunk words are sober thoughts and knowing that alcohol does mess up our thinking. I can't fully accept that a few drinks would make someone confess feelings like that, but who knows? The real question is if I can move past this, regardless of what he says now. If it were me, I'd feel uncomfortable having him and my sister in the same room, which doesn't really work in a marriage. Honestly, I think he might have just been expressing some kind of momentary infatuation. When people are drunk, they can mix up lust and love, right? Still, I need to have a serious heart-to-heart with him. No one else can answer for him, and even with a conversation, moving forward might be a challenge. From what I know, even if this is just about lust, I might carry it with me like a shadow. If we want to work things out, couples counseling and maybe some personal therapy might help us move on in a healthy way. Sending you all the good vibes. I've been through something similar. My ex once told me he loved my twin sister. At the moment, I thought it was a slip-up, but turns out he was actually into her. It's definitely something you need to discuss bluntly with him. It's a painful situation, but addressing it is necessary. Do you think he even remembers saying it? Have you noticed any other behavior like this before? So, if something's making you wonder, just ask him straight up, face to face. His reaction will tell you a lot. He's always liked my sister, gets along with my whole family, and is tight with my brothers, but my sister is his favorite. We're super close with her and her husband, we do a lot together when it's not just the two of us. My sister's always been my best friend, so it's not shocking if he feels a connection. If he'd just said, "I love her," in a drunk way, it might have been innocent or just a little crush. But no, he got all deep and meaningful. You know how people say dumb stuff when they're drunk, but rarely do they spill their heart like that unless it really means something. Just bring it up suddenly and see what he does, that'll show you what's real. Update time. I know I'm supposed to update every 3 days, so I didn't do it on Sunday. Plus, I'm feeling really mixed up. I talked to my husband. He claims he can't remember much from that night, especially after my sister and her husband left and we kept drinking. I told him what he said, and he didn't look shocked, more like he just didn't remember. I asked if he felt that way before we started drinking, and he said he's always loved my sister for being kind and warm. He also mentioned she looked really beautiful and probably his drunk self thought she was hot. He thinks it's normal for people to be curious about others. He says my family's good looking and her weight loss gave her confidence, and he was happy for her. I asked him if he could pick between us. He looked shocked and said I'm his wife, the mother of his kids, and he loves me. When I pushed on whether he'd choose differently if we weren't married, he said those what if games are silly and only cause arguments over stuff that isn't real. After dinner, he told me he loves me very much and I shouldn't overthink what he said when he was too drunk to know anything. But, I'm not sure. I keep imagining myself in this situation. I've seen your comments and I think maybe I should talk to a therapist by myself too. It would mess with my head wondering if he's sticking around just to stay close to her. I'd constantly worry that he sees me as some substitute for his feelings for my sister, and I can't forget that. Even the idea of being intimate with him would freak me out. I'd be comparing, stuck in my thoughts, self-conscious about everything. My ADHD brain would never believe it was genuine. We live really close to my sister, and it's crossed my mind that maybe he settled for being family or friends with her. I'm stuck overanalyzing every interaction and every mention of her. He never talks about her negatively, always seems glad to talk to or about her. Is he the same way with me? I don't even know anymore. I'm kinda realizing there's no going back. This is always going to be in the back of my mind. I need to stand up for myself and trust my instincts. He finally admitted he's had feelings for my sister for a while now, but says he loves me and our life together. We're starting counseling, and from now on, when I hang out with my sister, he won't be there. He says he's in love with her and has been on and off over the years but insists he never wanted to act on it and never will.